Welcome to my space. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Invite you to move with me if that feels good. Let the breath move your body, move your being. Here we go. Deep breath in. On the exhale, if it feels good to sigh or move or stretch or yawn. Deep breath in, gather your energy back from all the people and things that you've been involved in. Oh, and on the exhale, let your voice make some sound. Ooh, deep breath in. On this one, exhale and just spiral yourself down into a deep, slower, safer space inside your body, maybe your roots, your womb, or your hips, or your low belly. And just take a minute to simply be, I am here. Welcome. I will be talking today about empowerment and knowing thyself and becoming sovereign of self, and a little bit of my journey around that and why I'm so passionate about holding space for people to find themselves and feel empowered to bring themselves into the world, to feel sovereign of self. So I've talked a bit about embodiment and the idea of incarnation, that our spiritual journey or our soul or our spirit is wanting to drop down and descend into human flesh to be alive through this body, through this moment, through this life. And so many spiritual teachers or teachings are missing the descent part. We're mostly about the ascension and becoming more godlike and more beautiful and pure, and that's great. Except you're in a human body, so what would it be like if you learned to descend and be with being human, to be fully alive in your present moment through your body, through your sensations, through your emotions, through the parts of you that you learn to protect yourself? What if you could drop back into a witness space inside of yourself and just notice and be with and allow and choose and be loving with this whole human experience? So for me, this was my fascination. How can I be both human and divine at the same time? What does that look like? How does that play out? How do I go from this? I was raised in this and taught in this spiritual tradition of ascension only, and we never had the opportunity to really drop in and be with our bodies in a very beautiful way. We were taught to fear the flesh. So um, I had a long road on learning to embody and blend the embodiment of humanity and divinity together. But I think that Jesus has a really beautiful model of that in the core of his teachings. I believe that he got it from the Magdalene, who he was in connection with the feminine and the masculine, learning the feminine way. So when I say the feminine way, I don't mean feminism. I mean that there is a womb-centric way of seeing life. We have cut that out, but in ancient cultures, the womb-centric position of life and how we saw life in cycles and spirals and life, death, and rebirth, it was very much connected to the womb and to the rebirthing and the birthing and the creating that comes through the temple of the body of the woman, the womb being. So that was a really rich part of me coming into my embodiment, coming into my empowerment, into my sovereignty to claim, to reclaim this authority of being a wombed being, being a woman, being um, the temple with the blood and the water and all the sacred things that are now attributed to masculine gods and masculine religions started in the body of the woman. So the mix of human and divine, I will forever be in awe and worship at the feet of a woman and the womb and the blood and the water and the bones and the temple and the glory of woman. And there is nothing more incredible than watching or honoring a woman giving birth. There is nothing more focused about, there's nothing more meditative than a woman giving birth in her power, with her knowing, in collaboration with life itself, creating through her body into the world, in collaboration with the life of that baby. There is nothing more meditative. If you have been or have seen a woman birthing in that way, that is the ultimate meditative space. And she is making noise and she is moving and she is bursting at the seams and she is still and she is on an internal journey, and sometimes it's orgasmic and often it is cosmic, and you are traveling into different realms in order to bring a soul in a human body through your body into the world. There is nothing more magnificent than that. So I'm very passionate about bringing embodiment and womb-centric descending into flesh in order to bring your creative, soulful, divine essence through. To ascend, you must descend to actually fully ascend in this gorgeous space of being human and divine, and to honor the womb and to honor the mother and to honor the creatrix and to honor. Now, if you are in a masculine body or you have a penis and you want to connect into that energy, every single human can. So in some of the ancient traditions, the low belly was called the womb space was called the hara or the lower dantian. And it is an energetic womb that you can connect into if you do not have a physical womb. Some of you have the womb but have had it removed. That is an energetic space for you to connect into. So just because you don't have the actual physical uterus doesn't mean that you cannot touch into these energies of life and death and rebirth and creation and moving through your body in this way. So I was not expecting to say all of that in this moment, but clearly it is the passion behind my embodiment and my empowerment and my sovereignty journey. So for me, I taught for 25 years in an ascension model only. And this, not to mention the fact that women in my religion were not allowed to teach. We were allowed to teach in very limited capacities. We could teach children's church or potentially play the piano. And I got lucky and was able to learn or allowed to sing on stage. But also I think that happened because I was a cute little kid, not a woman with a big, strong message to give. So as I grew through my religious context, it became more and more apparent for me that my thoughts were devalued. And so when I got married at 21, we were at a Bible college and we were planning to go into ministry. And even though I was carrying a lot of gold to offer into any ministry that we chose to go into, I was never the one hired, and I was never the one who received a paycheck, and I was never the one who was given any right to speak my ideas. It all had to come through my husband at the time. I felt very disempowered. I felt very dishonored. I felt very Um, I felt very, yeah, I felt a lot of things actually. And clearly, I am someone with a lot of fire and a lot of ideas and a lot of leadership quality. And I was constantly having to be squashed or silenced. And I've got lots of stories around that, lots of very specific ways that that happened. I was told many times that it wasn't my position to speak or to have those ideas. So coming out of this for me was a really big deal. And as I journeyed out, and this was like, I love studying, and I am the kind of person who isn't going to just throw everything out and change directions. I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So I basically studied myself out of the religion that I was in, and I had to undo it. I had to undo the doctrines. I had to study different material to see where things were coming from in other ways. I didn't want to just blindly jump into a goddess tradition or follow demons, which I was deathly afraid of. And so my journey, I really, really walked it for quite a while before I came to this understanding of empowerment coming from this inner authority of spirit moving through my body. And this spirit of God, goddess, that isn't needing a mediator. And this is actually one of the teachings of Jesus, which is fantastic because Jesus came saying there is no need for the mediation between God and man anymore. That's in scripture. So there was a tearing of the curtain between the outer temple and the inner sanctuary